day number 122. I'm usually joined with Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire Jacob Carsbo, who is out doing family stuff because he's the only one with a family, which is not true, but he actually does things with his family. We, on the other hand, Wajeeh, the gay lion from Minneapolis, Minnesota, ignores his family the way I clearly ignore my family as well. So, good morning to you, Wajeeh.
Good
I
morning.
heard you're striking out these days
What does that mean? Like
for freaking YouTube.
oh, striking out. I got a strike yesterday, this morning, waking up when I'm like, what? And I went to check it, and it was literally just a 20-second video of where we were describing Hezbollah military capability, where they used cheap drones to take out Israeli tanks. And
There,
apparently, I got a strike, and I couldn't even appeal it.
there are whole website video shows talking about Hezbollah capability. There's entire 20-minute videos of nothing but Hezbollah strikes against Israeli things. And you know what it is? Your channel, when you put it up, it comes from a Muslim, right? And they are thinking, ooh, you're showing. Someone complained. You had to be reported for that.
Yeah,
Because when
so
mine goes up and I talk about all the capability of every force in the world, it's an intelligence analysis. That's the only thing it can be. I did not put up yesterday's video by complete accident, right? You and I did a collaboration on it, so it went up under your channel. And for someone to come out and say, what? I mean, that Hezbollah has drone capability? We talked about this many times, but this is what happens. Somebody says I rebearded quite quickly. Yes, it's been seven. It's been 7 days. Somebody has a Polish Special Forces mug. Carol. All right, Carol, you should put a picture of that up. Well, anyway, show us. Let's have some happy news. Do you have a new mug? The rumor has it you have a new mug.
I
What
do.
is this? What does it say on it?
University of
Minnesota.
Minnesota. I'm
That's right.
officially a grad student now.
A grad student. Oh, well, you need to be faculty over there. So you better hurry up and start working on your PhD and once you get your master's done. And what are you grad student in?
I'm going to the Humphrey School of Public Affairs
Hmm. Why didn't you apply for Harvard? One of them, their big grants at the John F. Kennedy School of
because
Public Affairs.
I'm still getting treated at the Mayo Clinic.
Ah, that's true. Okay. Well, we wish you well on your mental health journey. So
No.
we know you have other health issues. We saw your surgery. So that being said, so what does a strike on YouTube get you?
It prevents me from making any money.
What? They
Yeah.
took down your monetization?
hmm
Really? And what does that do? How does that work?
It,
I
it,
mean,
it just,
they actually
you
wrote
have
to
to
you
wait
and
for it.
said,
Yeah, yeah. I just went to check how much my channel would be making, and it's like zero.
really? So they just killed your monetization? Was that in the warning?
And you have 30 days to show that you wouldn't break the rules or something like that. And if you show that you break the rules again, you get another strike. And then if you get a third strike, then you get kicked out of the platform.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy with a capital K. Okay, that's crazy. Well, you know what? By complete and total accident, yesterday's show did not go up on my YouTube channel. And I would be interested. They didn't say that someone reported you or
Of
because
course,
you
they
all
were
you did
like,
was post at our show.
yeah, all I did is post our show, and
Mm.
they don't tell me who reported me. They just tell me that I got a strike.
Okay.
And when I went to go and I went like, and then when you go to appeal or something,
Mm.
they ask you like 7 questions to prove that you understand the policies. And I
Mhm.
got all the questions right before I get anything wrong. And they're asking me questions about like promoting terrorism. They're asking me
What?
questions about like, yeah, like some stupid shit like
No,
that.
this sounds like someone reported you as the gay Muslim extremist that you are, right? That this sounds like someone just shit on the podcast. And, I find it, as considering that I am apparently a paid Mossad agent, whether mine would get pulled down at the same time. This is crazy. Look, people, if you don't care about the content that we're putting up, don't be going out there and doing shit like this. Just get off the podcast, right? I mean, what are they going to do? Because I will never have this happen to me, Wajeeh, because as a person who pushes Hasbara, and of course is an asset of the Mossad. I will actually only have my stuff promoted, so I'm going to get all your followers. This is stupid shit. All right, just if you don't like it, get off the channel. Right? We have some critics in our channel. You don't have to watch us. We're normal
Yeah.
folks. It's just that our analysis tends to be far more accurate than others. And a good example of that happened yesterday when we had talked about 2 days ago that the Iranians could enforce the Iranian traffic separation scheme by attacking ships. 3, 2, 1, that happened. The Iranians did attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz. They fired one, and one of the things that happened was that they used a loitering munition, a loitering drone, to go over and to strike a Singapore flagged vessel. Didn't do a lot of damage. Blew out the windows in the bridge. That's it. However, the first thing that happened after that was that Donald Trump, working with Pete Hegseth and Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, decided that they couldn't let that small drone strike stand. So the United States yesterday afternoon attacked Iran with surface to air or air to surface missiles, knocking out yet another, probably the 400th radar that they've attacked, and then attacked the Syric drone storage facility that we've talked about, drone, high speed small boats, sea mine storage facility. I was on Mario Nawafal's podcast yesterday when this happened, and believe me, as soon as he said, Malcolm, have you heard about these airstrikes? I said, you don't have to tell me. We struck a radar on Kashem Island, a facility at Bandar Abbas, and we attacked the Syric drone and high speed boat storage facility. He goes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. We are insanely predictable now, the United States. So, why did we decide to escalate this war? Because I just find it fascinating that, we have been at this now for 4 months. Donald Trump finally admitted to the world what this podcast had been warning for 3 months, which is that we're headed to an economic catastrophe. We are headed to an economic meltdown. And Trump himself said it at the G7, quote, do you want to know what Bedlam is? Bedlam is when we run out of oil in about 4 weeks. That was almost 2 weeks ago he said that. So the 4th of July, post 4th of July weekend weeks is when the market is really going to start seeing that the artificial lows are not meeting the quantities of oil that are not there. That's not there. And when we attack in the Persian Gulf, ships stop moving. They're not. Iranian attacks aren't really stopping things because you can go through the IRGC toll booth and get out. But when America attacks Iran, all ships stop moving. So Trump is perpetuating his own disaster here, right? Wajeeh, Shabab,
Trump has
factors.
created one of the biggest disasters, and the disaster he got us in is he got us into the escalation ladder since day one. And all he tried to prove today or yesterday, if you want to call it yesterday, is that he owns the escalation ladder,
He owns
and
it.
and the reality of the fact is he does not own the escalation ladder. The ones
Right.
who can really fuck everyone up is the Iranians.
Right.
They can wait, they can handle the pressure, and I have been trying, one of the biggest unknowns at the moment about Iran that is causing me a lot of headache.
Hmm.
Do they have the $300 billion as their own uh, priority, or do they have the ultimate control or ultimate support of their proxies all the time? I
Right.
mean, you basically, in a way, you can't have them both happening uh, for the United States at the same time. You either let go of your proxies and take your $300 billion, or you forget about the $300 billion and you can continue supporting your proxies. That's not to say that Iran is not currently able to sell billions and billions of dollars in oil revenue. But the reality
Hmm.
is that that's one of the biggest things Trump doesn't know. And that's one of the biggest things Iran is having conflict inside of the Iranian leadership.
Right.
So they have not figured that out. And until they figure that out, we'll be in uh, uh, we will be in this type of situation. Now, there's also the Levant, where the Israelis are not wanting to back off. The MOU mandating an immediate end to the war on all front, right?
Right.
But the MOU was signed between the Israelis and the Christian leadership of Lebanon. The Shia in Lebanon, including members of the parliament, have come out and threatened a civil war.
Hmm.
A civil war they can win versus the military in Lebanon that has basically no funding and mostly are created of volunteers. One of the biggest unknowns in that is how, and I don't think it's a big factor, but it's a small factor. How many soldiers who are inside of the Lebanese army are willing to defect and go with Hezbollah?
Hmm.
Because there is a good chunk of Shi'i
Yeah.
fighters, and but I don't, and the reason I say it's not a big deal because Hezbollah has already their
Right.
military. They're 100,000 soldiers
Well,
strong.
let's pause on that because we're going to do an entire half of this show is going to be on Lebanon.
Okay,
And right now, I just want to get past the Iranian strikes. That's why I was checking up while you were talking. So Iran struck a cargo ship. Another cargo ship was attacked off of the United Arab Emirates, and that sent out a false ballistic missile attack alert that the Emiratis quickly withdrew. There is no details of another ship actually being impacted by that, but apparently two ships were attacked. Then the United States carried out a strike using 6 aircraft from the USS Abraham Lincoln. They struck a radar site. The Iranians just must have a cave full of radars. where they go, hey, Hossein, bring up another radar. Yes, the Americans, they hit another one. That's all they can hit. Radar, radar, radar. Okay, and hit 4 targets, 1 radar site on Kishem Island. It's a surface search radar that they're bringing up every day. I mean, to keep track of the Strait of Hormuz, they need a radar up there. So you can have radar vehicles, you could take them off of small boats. These are not sophisticated things, but we love shooting billion dollar anti-radar missile systems at them, the HARM missile. They also attacked the Syriac IRGC boat facility, which we talked about earlier. And then, in an announcement that it appears the social media of the IRGC seems to be getting ahead of themselves because they have twice announced that they carried out strikes while the strikes were not yet carried out. And like an hour later, the strikes showed up because they're launching drones. They launched apparently 4 or 5 drones. I predicted this right on Mario Nawafal's show. He says, Malcolm, which base do you think they're going to hit? I said, I don't know. Let me guess. Camp Bueling in Kuwait, Ali Salam, Ahmed Jabbar. I said, to be quite honest, they'll probably just hit Bahrain, the old base, because it's been destroyed. Guess what they hit? They hit Bahrain. They fired drones low and slow at a base that has been abandoned, that has been burned out. And that's the Iranians' way. And I'm glad they did, because now the shooting's over. We can get back to the game. And as it stands right now, Donald Trump is closing the Strait of Hormuz through every combat action. He doesn't do small things. He could have just let that one go. It broke windows on the bridge of a ship. It didn't set it on fire, didn't kill any crew, didn't damage anybody. But no, they got to go with the Pete Hegseth big dick thing where they come out and they got to hit the Iranians again. And now we're back to the freaking first day of the ceasefire. The MOU could go completely out the window. Iran's not going to do it. Iran's not going to break the MOU because they're getting big money, right? Trump is not going to do it, but he can't sit still without making it look he's the tough guy. When the United States strikes at those places, that kills people, right? Kills Iranians. These are not lethal contacts that we're having with the enemy. Whoops, Wajeeh dropped out. I'll have to bring him back. These are lethal contacts that we are having with the Iranians. And every time we do it, we are standing into danger. It's as simple as that. Well, that's it. That's it for the Persian Gulf strikes. Watch, could you check the price of oil? Oh, I just found out. This is interesting. Those attacks occurred almost the minute the stock market closed yesterday. I'm not joking. They could have done this at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock they struck. 5 o'clock at the top of the dial, the minute they rang the bell in the stock exchange. Okay, what are we looking at?
It's funny you say that, because as soon as I made a post about it, one of my subscribers went, "Yeah, it's Friday."
Yeah, Friday. A little more down. I only see Brent. Brent's down $3.27. WTI is down $2.69. You made a great point. It's at $69.23 at WTI. Brent crude's at $71.99. This is very close to the pre-war prices. I thought 68 was where we were at when the war started. But you made an excellent point. Thank you, Wajeeh, for that chart. You made an excellent point yesterday where you said the Saudis require that oil to be in the 80s, in the $80 range. They need that oil to be further up for them to start breaking even.
So I found a better breakdown for the Saudis, because they have different prices for different goals.
Right.
The Aramco price for profit is $40.
All right.
The national government price for profit, so the government and the royal princes and all the expenses to go through, $80. For the Vision 2030, for them to be able to fund Vision 2030 and everything else, including their yearly spending and princes on it. They need the prices to be at least $113.
Right. Well, I don't know if we're going to get to $113, but we're certainly going to be at the point where, oh, that's interesting. We're certainly at the point where um, the the people who are trying to fill oil tanks right now are very happy at the price of oil. And that's why the futures market is still selling it's down there at 67, 80. But the hard reality of tank bottom, which is like it is not like SpongeBob with Bikini Bottom, but tank bottom. When we hit tank bottom, while people think they're filling these tanks up, and that there is a time gap and an oil gap, which you know because we saw this the other day, it's 1.16 billion barrels are missing from the entire global chain of oil. And the only people who really have the oil in their strategic reserves to get through that is China. China has 1.6 billion barrels in reserve that they haven't touched. The United States is getting to the point where we are going to completely run out of the strategic petroleum reserve in the next 2 weeks. So that's unhealthy. Okay, so that's it for the fighting in the Strait of Hormuz. What impact that has in the SOH, we will have to see. Right now, I'm just trying to get back to the chat. For those of you who haven't noticed, yesterday I started the chat about this yesterday evening. We have 143 replies. Okay, you guys got to chill out on the hijacking the thread over the debate of Zionism versus anti-Zionism. Gosh, or I'm going to have to start blocking people. There is a lot of stuff going on in this world. And somebody goes, once again, no more live man spy. I have been banned. No, somebody didn't realize he's on YouTube. One of the videos didn't go up. And now I'm going to have to check with YouTube whether my video is legit. Two spies talking doesn't get banned, but you got banned or you got a strike against you. It's a little weird. You see, you got to take that damn fez off. So anyway, there's a lot of questions. I was up at 6 a.m. Answering these things. It's true. Into the spray bar. This person is bond. Oh, that's weird. I don't know. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on. By the way, yesterday, if you didn't notice, we did a fundraiser called Black Man Spy After Dark. Wajeeh, I saw you were trying to come up, but I had two other people.
Oh, no, I was just saying hi. I wasn't trying to come up. I was just
Okay.
trying to support.
They would have banned you. I took it down. I didn't put it up on YouTube because it involves us drinking. And you can't actually have, alcohol advertisements and things like that. So anyway, it's up on the Black Man Spy podcast. You guys can watch it. We had the CEO of Penderyn Whiskey Distillery in Wales. And the reason I had him on was I met his representative at Port Marion this year when we were doing the prisoner convention. And I had told him behind me on this table for 2 years was a bottle of Penderyn whiskey. And the guy noticed, he goes, "Hey, do you have a bottle of Penderyn whiskey on your podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, would you like to talk to the CEO?" And we were like, "Yeah, why not?" And the guy talked about it. We're going to do a special run of International Legion whiskey, which will be labeled just for the International Legion. Did you know you could buy casks of whiskey, your own cask of whiskey? I am not a big
Yes.
whiskey drinker, but I just want to buy a cask so I can say, "Oh, I
Yep.
bought a cask of whiskey."
It's a good investment.
A little cask. Is it?
No, a big one. You for $100,000 or $10,000, you buy like the big one, and after you age it, you essentially invest in one, and then when it's time to sell it, instead of $10,000, you can sell it for $100,000.
How do you know all this?
I watch a lot of documentaries.
All right. I guess you do. And Carol Ann Connor says whiskey ages well, even though we don't, right? Somebody said that's what Cash Patel did, didn't they? Somebody, somebody says, save it or you drink it. Okay, you guys, let's get off of this. All right, so now we have taken care of the Strait of Hormuz. Another interesting note. Early on, you might recall in the war that one of the predicted places we expected to see a lot of friction was in Iranian Kurdistan. That is the northern parts of Iraq and Iran. I will bring it up on I'll bring it up here on Google Earth for you to, leave the page. And we will go to Iraq. The northern part of Iraq is occupied by the Kurdish people. And there are three types of Kurdish people in northern Iraq. I will get the pointer out so that you can follow along. This is Iraq, that red outline there. This is Turkey, eastern Turkey, northern Iraq, and eastern Iran, all where the ethnic people called the Kurds live.
That's
But
right.
for centuries, for centuries under Islamic rulers, this area here has always been part of the empires, the Abbasid Empire, mainly the Ottoman Empire for however many centuries, 6 centuries. But those people have never been allowed autonomy. Those people are the Kurds. If you go to Turkey,
Could you
think
move
that
up could you scroll the map a little bit higher?
okay,
The map, the map, the map.
yeah. Let me move the map down there,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll go in closer. So those red lines, everything north of that red dot here, which is Baghdad, all of this up here, all of that is technically should be Kurdistan, right? Its own
That's
nation of Kurds. But as you can see, Turkey is a much bigger country, and they do not believe that the Kurds of the East should have any autonomy and have been fighting them for centuries, right? The northern Iraq, when the British dominated this area was all put under the British protectorate of Iraq. And this northern area is also Kurdish, of the same type of people that are up here in eastern Turkey. In eastern Iran, there are also Kurds. And that's
right.
where you might recall when the war started, we said, I expect, myself and Jacob said this, we expected the United States, if they were going to, and Israel, if they were going to start ground activity, they would be arming the Iraqi Kurds up here to join forces with the Iranian Kurds and come in and attack. And then we started seeing signs of that. Convoys of brand new unmarked U.S. Army trucks coming out of nowhere and moving north to Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan. If you're going to Erbil, that is the center headquarters. None of that stuff looked like it was being prepared to go to the Iraqi Kurds. So it came up here, went to Erbil, and then went over to Sulaymaniyah, which is about a mile from the Iranian border. We also said this is where you would likely see a boatload of weapons and U.S. forces were. Then 3, 2, 1, about a month into the war, we started getting a lot of reports that the Iranian Kurds from over here, especially in the city of Bani, right, along the Iraqi-Iranian Kurdish border, were asking for weapons and were receiving weapons. I'm going to zoom into this town because we're about to talk about this town in Iran called Bani, right here. I don't know if you can see it very well. Here is Sulaymaniyah. Okay, this is Iraq. That red border right there is the border between Iraqi Kurdistan and Iranian Kurdistan. And Iran calls this the Kurdistan County, right? Kurdistan province. Suleimania is a big stronghold of the Iraqi Kurds. And whenever we want to do something, we always screw around in Miravan, which is right on the border. There's actually small border crossings here at Miravan, Zali, and it goes to these big towns of Miravan and Baneh. Yesterday, out of nowhere, the Iranian Kurds, the Free Life Party, the Kurdish Free Life Party of Iran, attacked Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces in the city of Baneh, killing 2, wounding 5. That means it was an ambush with enough firepower to take down 7 people. The Free Kurd Party, which is an interesting party, by the way. There are a lot of parties. The reason that the U.S. and Israel didn't arm the Kurds, as you recall, Donald Trump said, we actually did secretly arm the Kurds. And the Kurds promptly stole all of the weapons and then promptly did nothing.
Is it
Because
technically
Israel and the
stealing?
United States.
You just gave it to them?
Oh, that's true. They re-gifted those weapons. They were given weapons with the intent to actually attack Iran. And the Iranian Kurds would have needed the assistance of the Iraqi Kurds. And 3, 2, 1, the Iraqi Kurds were like, nope, not doing it, not getting involved. Iran's got 93 million people. They could counter-invade and take over all of northern Iraq, right? That's technically true. But the Kurds, the Iranian Kurds, the Iraqi Kurds hate the Iranian Kurds. And many Iraqi Kurds hate other Iraqi Kurds. And Iranian Kurds hate other Iranian Kurds. But this party, the PJAK, right, the PJAK, which stands for the Party Jihaniya Azad al-Kurdistan, right, the Free Life Party of Kurdistan. What I find fascinating is this is a leftist party, and most Kurdish parties are communist or hardcore socialist. Right?
Oh my God.
And like the PKK, PKK is the Kurdish Communist Party. That's why Turkey hates them with a capital hates. In the old days, the Iranians and the Kurds would do combat operations to squeeze the Kurds together into the border area so that they would mutually wipe out Kurds.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting place. So the PJAK yesterday carried out an attack, an ambush in the city of Baneh, killing 2 IRGC, wounding 7 in a massed ambush. And believe you me, Malcolm, why are you talking about this little shooting party? Because the United States has designated the PJAK as a terrorist group. But then again, we designated several other Kurdish groups as terrorist groups, and we apparently gave them a boatload of weapons. So we don't know who's behind this little ambush. Is it the United States, them doing it in order to destabilize Western Iran? Or is it Israel, who has also been arming and supporting Kurdish and Azerbaijani independence groups inside Iran? We don't know. But when you come up and step up with a bold-ass ambush like this, you know what's coming next. The Iranians are going to bring in 10,000 troops. And they're going to squash you and every Kurd that's up there. So we need to keep our eye on this, because the last place a U.S. soldier and a NATO soldier were killed was in Erbil, Iraq. The French soldier who was killed in a Shahed drone attack when the Iranians attacked our forces' facilities in Kurdistan. The Iranians do not like our little cross-border game. And let's be fair, we have been doing this. Don't believe me. Don't ever believe Malcolm Nance. Believe Donald John Trump, who said he gave the Kurds a boatload of weapons and a boatload of equipment, which we on this show saw and identified as weapons and equipment transfers to the Kurds. And Trump says they stole our weapons. They didn't steal them. They accepted your gift and decided not to get slaughtered at your insistence.
Remember at the beginning of the war when there was a video that came out of cars going around at checkpoints in Iran, just randomly
And
shooting?
Gunning up guys, yeah.
But they're not really gunning people. They were just shooting around. No one got injured. No one got killed. I think that was the thing that for the Kurds to be like, see, we used the weapons you gave us. Halas, we're done.
Yeah, but that sort of thing, when you look, if you're going to do something like that, I lived in Baghdad, okay? I lived in Baghdad in the bad times when the shark patrols were everywhere. All these guys would do, young guys playing lots of music, hafla music, right? Blaring it out loud. But you don't see that. Got AK-47s and PKM machine guns at their feet. And what they do is they be like, yeah, we're regular Iraqis. And then they see a victim car, like a U.S. armored convoy or a soft vehicle carrying a white guy. And it was like, ba, 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 ba. And they weren't shooting to warn. They were shooting to kill.
Wow.
So shark patrols, if you're going to play that game, then you have to understand that the Iranians are going to come back and the Iranians will not be shooting to warn. Right. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of those attacks were, they may have been
This
staged by
happened.
the IRGC, or they may have, it was false in order to make it look like there was a popular revolution happening in that country. But there wasn't. All right. Enough about this. Let's get down to business, Wajeeh.
Do it.
Lebanon. Lebanon.
Yeah.
The big story, believe it or not, is not the attacks in the Persian Gulf. The big story today is what is happening in Lebanon. Yesterday, by the way, I have to show you this picture. This is a picture of PJAK female fighters. As you know, the Kurds believe in
Kurds.
women's autonomy, radical socialistic feminism. I am not joking. They believe that every woman in the Kurdish world should be a fighter, right? Should be a fighter. And this is a picture of PJAK women. Actually, the only problem I got is they got their fingers on the trigger. But you never know. If they're on the Iranian-Kurdish border, you might want to keep your finger on the trigger because the Iranians could ambush you at any time. But PJAK fighters, they believe in radical leftist feminism. All right. And I find it hilarious that the United States had them designated as a terrorist group, but they were most likely one of the terrorist groups we were giving boatloads of weapons like to. So, but let's move on to Lebanon. Okay, what's happened in Lebanon, Malcolm? What happened in Lebanon is the Lebanese, the Israelis, and the United States signed what they are calling a framework peace treaty. Now, why is that bad news? You're talking like this is bad news. Because, like all things that involve the United States, Lebanon, and Israel, it did not involve Iran or Hezbollah, who are the dominant military force in Lebanon. All right. See, that's why you got a strike against you. You're dancing for Hezbollah. I see you.
I'm dancing because I'm right. I'm dancing
You're
because I
dancing.
said this before.
That's very true. Very true. Wajeeh knows this game. Also, Beirut, baby. You go to Beirut, all you're going to do is dance, Arak and Hafla, right? Why do you think the Emiratis and the Saudis gave them $10 billion to make that place awesome?
Yeah.
so they could,
Or
so
do you
they could
think that we go escape? We go there.
they fly over to Lebanon and they party hardy. So the framework of the peace treaty, it's called the Lebanon Framework. I'm going to get the bullet points up right now. I was talking about it yesterday when we were having it. Interesting, some of the things that were agreed to. And now I spent a lot of time in Lebanon. I spent a lot of time off of Lebanon. I spent a decade going back and forth between the Iran-Iraq war and trying to find hostages in Lebanon, right? I ain't saying whether I was on the ground or not. I'm just saying I worked that mission hard. They had 76 Western hostages, and we had special cells trying to identify where those individuals were. And the key thing was, if there were part of the special teams that went there, you didn't want to get kidnapped. And they were just snatching people off the street. I am just one lucky dude, but spent a lot of time in Lebanon. First dialect I ever learned was Lebanese, Syrian dialect,
Lebanon.
Palestinian, Lubnani. That's right. I know how to say "U'id min fadlak." Hold on. I have to tell you the funniest joke I ever learned in Lebanese dialect class. We had a Lebanese teacher who's actually really, really super cute, right? So we're all, sailors that can't focus. 19-year-old sailors that can't focus because we have this super hot Lebanese instructor. And she was teaching us Lebanese dialect. And one of the components of Lebanese dialect is when you hit a Q in many other dialects, they're like, oh, no, this was not at Brigham Young. This was at Defense Language Institute. I went to Brigham Young for Libyan dialect. But, and so when you say the letter ka, the Q like for Al Qaeda, right? In Lebanese dialect, you eat the Q and you turn it into sort of a comma, right? A glottal stop. So instead of Al Qaeda, you would say Al Qaeda, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in Libya, in the Gulf states, you change that Q to a G. Lebanon or Egypt, you change that Q to a G, so it would be Al Qaeda, right? Same thing. So, but in Lebanon, you change the Q to to a glottal stop, and Al Qaeda, right? So when you say sit, right, you wouldn't say I'm having a breakthrough. Let me give you another Q word. When you want to say oh, shoot. Look, give me another example. But anyway, I was telling a funny joke. I'm having senior moment. You can see the grace coming in as the gray comes in. I'm allowed to have long pauses. Anyway, so I'm in this class, and the woman says, the way that you say something with a possessive like yours, right, is you cut off the how can I put it? The phonetic sound that changes it from a male to a female to a non-possessive, right? Which would be ka, like this is a finjan, right? This is a cup, finjan. But your cup would be fijanica, fijanica. In dialect, they cut it off, finjanic, right? Just cut it off. If it is a lady, right, it would be, or use all, right, it would be finjaniki. But the regular world doesn't talk like that. That's television Arabic. That's Arabic learned from a book. So my Lebanese instructor was trying to get me to say, do you have guests from the mountain? And so I was thinking, oh, in TV Arabic would be Hal Indi Diyufika Min Al Jabal. Television Arabic. And she's like, no, Khalil, we don't talk like that. In Lebanese, you say, Halain the Diyufak. And I was like, what? Diyufak. And I go, excuse me? She goes, do you fuck?
Do you fuck? Yes.
And we're
And
crying.
you have to understand, Arabic dialect changes from one region to another because it's influenced by the native tongue of that region. So, like in Egypt, you have the old ancient Egyptian language. Well, that language still, though many of those words in that language is still used, but now we incorporate it in Arabic. And now you have Arabic that is using old ancient Egyptian, or like same thing in Syria.
But my point about Lebanon is they have a very unique dialect. And of course, she said, do you fuck? And I was like, lady, this is a sailor you're talking to. She goes, shut up, Khalil, dirty mind. So the point that we're making here is a dialectical difference, all right, is extremely important when dealing with politics. And I spent an enormous amount of time in Lebanon. And I like to party there as much as the next guy, right? It's you fuck. It's everybody's putting it down. Not the fuck. That is not your guest. So anyway, yesterday in the United States, the fuck, they're going, the fuck. No, do you fuck? Say it correctly. Say it correctly. Khalil. Say it correctly. That was my Arabic name, Khalil. Okay, so that means your guest. the guests who are in your house. So yesterday, the United States, Israel, and Lebanon, the government of Lebanon, signed their own treaty, a framework agreement in Washington that essentially gives Israel southern Lebanon as a, how can I put it, as a free fire zone,
Okay, so
occupied zone, as long as they want. And the thing that makes Israel withdraw is the thing that hasn't made Israel withdraw since 1983, which is that they must feel they have security in southern Lebanon.
yeah.
See, that feeling is the main part of the agreement. So, yesterday, the United States, Israel, and Lebanon signed this agreement, and everyone is mad. One of the things that was said, I will read this. This is from Barak Ravid, the trilateral framework between the United States of America, the State of Israel, and the Republic of Lebanon. Please follow after me, children. The government of Israel, the government of Lebanon, with the full support of the United States under President Donald J. Trump, affirmed their shared goal of achieving lasting peace and security. As reflected in this trilateral framework and through future agreements, two countries declare their ambition to end the conflict between them. FYI, those countries are Lebanon and Israel, okay?
Like,
And establish peaceful neighborly relations between the two countries. Israel and Lebanon affirm the right of each state to exist in peace. So this is Lebanon essentially saying, we recognize Israel and its right to exist. I don't recall Lebanon not recognizing that, but they're saying it's a big deal. Their mutual desire to live in security as neighboring sovereign states, Israel and Lebanon hereby declare their intent to conclusively end the conflict, address its underlying causes, and therewith formally conclude any state of war between them. This framework, reached after multiple rounds of direct negotiations between the parties, builds upon a previous successful agreement, blah, blah, blah. The government of Israel, number two, government of Israel and Lebanon commit to reciprocal, sequenced process with clear conditions whereby the Lebanese armed forces will restore effective sovereign authority over all Lebanese territory. That means they agree the Lebanese armed forces, you know, the two guys in the broken down Bradleys and who are operating T
you
55
mean from
tanks.
the things that are still from World War II?
They're not from World War II, they're from the post war. They're from
Cold War.
1955. Get it right.
Cold
The
War.
Cold War, the beginning of the Cold War. So this is what that agreement is. The Lebanese army will take over. And now the United States, with the full support of the United States, will complement this framework, and the U.S. will assume training of the Lebanese armed forces. So we're coming in to, once again, for the 30th time since I joined the military, come to Lebanon and start doing training. This is interesting. Pursuant to the security annex as part of the broader effort towards the Lebanese state's monopoly of arms. Lebanese state's monopoly of arms. What does that sound like? No one else in Lebanon can have guns. The Lebanese armed forces will gradually assume full and effective security responsibility in pilot zones. These are little areas that the Israelis will give back to the Lebanese army. But we heard the Lebanese army yesterday say, we aren't going into any damn village the Israelis are in because the Israelis will probably kill us right after we enter. So they're a little distrusting, but according to this, they will create pilot zones. The Lebanese army will go in, which will serve as a mechanism for the phased and verified redeployments of the IDF and their deployments of the Lebanese armed forces. I like the way they use the word redeployment. They do not use the word withdraw. They will redeploy. So, the Lebanese armed forces will assume full and effective security responsibility in these zones. Internationally supported reconstruction efforts will begin. That sounds to me like Jared Kushner and Witkoff think they're going to fucking Tyre and they're going to build out beach hotels. I shit you not. Lebanese civilians will be able to safely return to these areas under the exclusive control of Lebanese state authorities. The United States intends to work closely with both countries to verify and support this. Next, 4, the government of Lebanon reaffirms its resolute and irreversible commitment to restoring and exercising full sovereignty over its territories. Next, the government of Israel stresses that its military actions in Lebanon are solely a consequence of the attacks and threat posed by and hostile intent of non-state armed groups, particularly Hezbollah. The Israeli government underscores that the termination of this threat through disarmament and dismantlement of all such groups in Lebanon and additional security arrangements will be to be agreed upon between the two countries will eliminate any future need for IDF action or presence in Lebanon. In other words, this agreement is saying disarm, dismantle Hezbollah, get them out of the world, and only then will Israel withdraw. In case you guys were wondering why I'm getting into the details, wait till you see what happens in Lebanon last night.
I'm taking notes.
Keep your shirt on. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Government of Lebanon holds its own state, no non-state actors. Government of Lebanon and Israel reaffirm nothing in this framework prevents them from exercising their inherent right to defend themselves. In other words, Israel can attack Lebanon any damn time it wants. All it has to do is say they're defending themselves. Next, the two countries, blah, 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 blah. The Lebanese army, the U.S. will do a performance-based capacity building of the Lebanese army. Number 10, the United States will rally international partners to actively support Lebanon in rebuilding the country. Hey, can I point something out to you, Wajeeh?
Yes.
Where's the rich Lebanese guy that's married to Tiffany Trump, who sat next to Marco Rubio for all of these negotiations? Donald Trump's son-in-law. So let's go to the bottom. This is my favorite part of this whole thing. The two governments acknowledge the role of the United States in supporting their efforts to end decades of conflict and establish lasting stability, comprehensive peace between the two countries, and express their deep appreciation for the vision and leadership of President Donald J. Trump. Have you ever seen, did the Treaty of Versailles in 1941 say, I want to express the appreciation of Woodrow Wilson in ending World War I and the Kaiser for, allowing us to gratefully surrender to you? This is weird. Okay, Malcolm, that was extensive. But it essentially says Lebanon is in the status quo that it was before, and that they are, the United States government, the government of Lebanon, the government of Israel, are pretending like Hezbollah doesn't exist. Well, actually, this document is designed to give Israel and whoever is funding Donald J. Trump, starting with his son-in-law, who married Tiffany Trump, whose guy is not involved in U.S. government at all. These people think they're going to Lebanon and they're going to rebuild Lebanon as a giant beach resort full of rich billionaires. Yes, Wajeeh.
I got
you're raising your hand.
points.
You
Yes.
got points. Okay, before you start those points, don't say anything about the rioting. Okay, I want to show
No
that.
writing. I have nothing about the rioting. So regarding the Lebanese armed forces, they are not funded. They are volunteers. They're not well trained, and they have absolutely no ability for controlling one city. They barely can control a street or two. My opinion.
Mhm.
We did not negotiate, my second point, we did not negotiate with the actual key factors that will determine an actual peace end to this conflict. When you sit down, you have to understand the Lebanese government that is divided into three sections. The president is a
Yes.
Christian. The speaker of the parliament is is a Shi'i, and uh, and then the other positions controlled by the Sunnis.
Hmm.
Now, the Sunnis and Shi'is get along more than the Shi'is and the Christians.
Yes.
The people that have negotiated with the Israelis are the Christians.
Hmm.
The Christians are already sympathetic toward the Israeli government, and they want to have peace talks. And they have had their own militia, and they had their own type of government in the past called uh, the Free Lebanon Nation.
Hmm.
They wanted to establish their own government. So, and they were supported by the Israeli government since back then. So the history between them and Israel go way back. So who has the weapons? Who has the money? Who has the militia? And who has the ability to negotiate? It's Hezbollah.
Hmm.
When I hear
Well,
you want, oh God, I was gonna go to
no,
the
I
next
agree.
point.
Go to the next point. I agree. I'm agreeing.
Perfect. Now, you want to go ahead and send your trainers, from Leavenworth, or from the big one, or anywhere from the United States, to go and train the Lebanese soldiers, or even if we want to send them from Israel. If the military in Lebanon is not fully funded, is not operational, is not having its full basics to do, all you're doing is wasting time and money. You're just doing some military exercises, jumping jacks, push-ups, some skirmishes here, some skirmishes there. You don't think we watch that on TV? They play this for us on national television. We watch it all day,
All the
and
time.
and guess what? It's not gonna do anything for the Lebanese military. They're not gonna get any better at controlling their country. They're not gonna have the resources necessary to do whatever the job they were trained to do by these forces.
Hmm.
And then, uh, the if the LAF cannot handle to control a road or two, how do you expect them to handle the pilot zones? These LAF soldiers would easily become easy target for Hezbollah's drones. Hezbollah doesn't even need to use snipers. They don't even need to use anything. They'll just use their suicide drones and hit them, because you're using your own drones in your own country, where your own country doesn't even have control over its airspace. Israel is not going to be sitting there trying to take Hezbollah drones out of Lebanese airspace.
Hmm.
So these soldiers are going to be easy hit target. They will be taken out easily, whether the United States prepares them with weapons or not. The people
Well,
that live,
funny.
go ahead.
Mhm. Funny you should mention that because I read in there what I expected to read when they said the United States was going to assist them. We have organizations called SVABs, SFABs, Security Forces Assistance Brigades. And this is what they do, right? They come out, they go to a country, and this is, I can tell by that uniform, that's the Jordanians. They come to a country, and it's 800 guys, and their job is to communicate and work and train other countries to build proficiency for your armed forces. I really think that these guys think that they're going to bring in 800 U.S. service members, one of these security forces assistance brigades or AS brigades, and they're going to go up into Tripoli, and that they're going to take over training, and that 3 or 4 months they're going to deploy these fuckers to Hezbollah. I was 20 years old when we did this before. Okay, we actually trained the Lebanese army. We actually gave them better tanks, and then we actually stood with them when they started an offensive into the Shuf Mountains to dislodge the Druze and all these other forces up there. Guess what? They have a vote in this. You cannot train these guys for 2 or 3 months. The Israelis for 15 years. Here, let me find something for you. on here. For 15 years, the Israelis operated a militia in Lebanon called the Army of Southern Lebanon. And what they did was they armed every Christian village in southern Lebanon, hired Lebanon, hired every Christian in the north that wanted to come down, and they made armed, occupied camps for them all over Lebanon, southern Lebanon, deep in Hezbollah country. And what happened was Hezbollah just came in and effing slaughtered them. And they attacked the army of southern Lebanon with as much ferocity as they attacked the Israeli army every day. Here's good examples. And what kind of equipment did they had? They had the exact same vehicles that that the Lebanese army had. They were just given to them by the Israelis. Okay? And Hezbollah hit them with suicide bombings, rocket attacks, artillery attacks, anti-tank missile attacks. So when the Israelis, by the way, from 1983 to the year 2000, occupied southern Lebanon and lost over 500 Israeli soldiers, which would be like 20,000 U.S. troops if we were in a war. They called it Israel's Vietnam, to the point where Israel couldn't take it. They had to withdraw. And guess who had to leave with them? Every damn Christian in the army of southern Lebanon took Aliyah, moved to Israel, and now lives in Israel. I've met many of these army of southern Lebanon or southern Lebanese army soldiers when I was in Israel. And they appreciated being there, but they didn't appreciate losing southern Lebanon to Hezbollah. But Malcolm, why is this important? Because I'm going to show you a map here, a demographic map of Lebanon.
If you don't mind me bringing also a couple points after you're done with that,
Yeah.
I have 4 more points.
Okay, I just want to show people that Lebanon itself. Let me give you some statistics. 69.3% Muslim. Okay, of that 69.3%, the majority are Shia Muslims occupying all of southern Lebanon. This is where all the fighting is going on right now. Down here, you can see some red dots and stripy dots. That's Maronite Christians. Okay, Maronite Christians, a lot of them got eliminated. There are some Sunni Muslims along the border, but this is a no-go zone. Israel is trying to take everything from here to here all the way across and eliminate people from that. That's about 20% of Lebanon.
That's 20%, yeah.
Let's say that's 10%. What they really want is everything south of Sidon. This is Nabatea, where the fighting is going on. A lot of it is going on this part of the Israeli-Lebanese border. But the Shia of Lebanon occupy all of this. Everything here, everything I'm pointing to on the right is mountain. Okay? But the Shia are all here, south of Beirut, and occupying most of the northern Bekaa Valley, Syrian mountains, Lebanon mountains, right? These are the Shuf Mountains down here around Beirut. They are a massive force. Average median age of a Shia Muslim in Lebanon is 29 years old. That means the median person in the Shia community is 15 years old, which means they are just 1 or 2 years from combat age. They have an enormous number of young men and children. What is this? Somebody said, what Malcolm forgot about Lebanon history. What did I forget, Dougie? Anyway, this is not the kind of place. You can see here all of these other mixed areas like this, yellow. Yellow and orange means it's Orthodox Christian, Maronite Christian, and Catholics mixed up in some of these other areas. Maronite overwhelmingly in the northeast side of the country, west side of the Lebanon mountains. Up here is their stronghold, Junia, in that place. I've been all over this place because that's Christian country. No one's going to kidnap or kill me when we were there. In the north up here, this is Sunni Muslim. This is where Al-Qaeda and ISIS were actually trying to make inroads in the city of Tripoli, says Tarabulus. but we call it's Tripoli. Tripoli, Lebanon, as opposed to Tripoli, Israel, in Libya. So they were up here. This is where the Lebanese army trains, by the way. They can't do anything over here. This was Hezbollah country. All of this was Hezbollah country. Where's the Alawites? The Alawites are a very small sect in here, purple. You'll see little boxes of purple. These are Druze. Druze, I have a hard time describing the Druze. The Druze are a Muslim-ish kind of thing that
They
sticks to
were before
themselves in the
Islam.
Lebanese mountains.
Alawite, Alawiya, they have been there since before Islam. They
Yeah,
believe in they're the followers of Jacob, Prophet Jacob.
really interesting.
Yeah,
So anyway,
yeah.
you can see here on the demographic chart, Sunnah and Shia and Christian are in equal proportions. But you can see on this map, the Sunni Muslims, they are not involved in this. They aren't like, it's not like Saudi Arabia give them $100 billion and they could create an army. Not at all. They are living in these remote areas and they are sticking to themselves. The Lebanese Christians are all dominate this area here. The Druze and the Shia are down here. These guys are organized. So the real component of this is, why did the Lebanese government sign this agreement with them knowing this is what they're talking about? It's all green. And these people are not giving this up to Israel, and they're definitely not giving it up to the government of Lebanon. So we mentioned this several times before on this show, and I'm going to say, I've said this to Mario Nawafal on his show because he's Lebanese Christian. And I said, the strategy appears to be this. Lebanon creates a force to disarm Hezbollah, but that creates the groundwork for civil war. And that civil war would involve all of these groups. When I first got to Lebanon in 1983, every one of these groups was fighting each other. Boom, 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 boom. They would have rockets, machine guns. If you went to the wrong checkpoint and you were an Alawite and you went to a Druze checkpoint, they'd execute you on the spot. Not shitting you. Okay, if you were a Shia and you went to a Christian checkpoint in Beirut near Babda or someplace like that, and they surround you, they executed you. If you were a Palestinian, they'd all execute you because they hate the Palestinians, because the Palestinian refugees from the 67 war and the 73 war are the reason that the terrorist groups moved into southern Lebanon and that the Israelis invaded in 1983. You can't win with Lebanon. But you know what you can do, Wajeeh? You can throw the country back into civil war.
I
And guess what?
misspoke. The Alawites are not the followers of Jacob. I apologize.
Okay, who are okay, check out your Encyclopedia of Islamic History, which, by the way, I have one in my library, and get back to us. But my whole point is this. They signed that agreement yesterday. Apparently, a bunch of rich guys got together, decided that they were the government of Lebanon, and they would, using Donald Trump and the Israelis, decide that they were going to sign this treaty. Well, that led immediately last night to rioting across Beirut and southern Lebanon in all of the areas that the Shia Muslims were living. And it immediately became a massive overnight Hezbollah rally all over southern Lebanon. That is just one video of some of the rioting that rocked Beirut. And the way that it's being described on Al Jazeera is that the Lebanese government has legitimized Israel's occupation by saying it's simple as this. If Israel doesn't get all of those conditions, Israel never has to leave Lebanon. You like that? So all they have to do is one rocket, right? This is some more of the rioting. One rocket out of Hezbollah, Israel never has to leave. Lebanese army can't get down there and seize the peace. Israel never has to leave. Here's more of the Hezbollah protest parade. Now, Wajeeh, we talked about the Lebanese army having no capability. Here's one thing that the Lebanese army decided they would do last night: attack the protesters with tear gas. They bought the Lebanese army out into Beirut, into Dahia, and decided that they would engage the protesters, all of whom are between the ages of 15 and 29 years old, and every damn one of them supports Hezbollah. So the leader, the member of parliament for Hezbollah in the Lebanese parliament, is a guy named Hassan Fadlallah, son of the previous leader of Hezbollah, who Israel assassinated. And he said this. Let me find this exact quote because it's going to sound like I was talking to myself. Here's no, that was the IRGC. One moment. Hassan Fadlallah's comment was, give it to me, baby. I already have it memorized, so I'll give it to you. Hassan Fadlallah's comment was, the purpose of this agreement was to push Lebanon into civil war. I only been warning you and Mario Nuafal that this appeared to be Israel's strategy. If you're all fighting each other like you were in the 1970s, Israel had nothing to worry about. The only thing they were worried about was, well, I'm just saying, the only thing they were worried about was Palestinian terrorists coming down into Israel. We said the same thing about Iran. If Iran were to descend into civil war, then Israel wouldn't have to worry about that. I am not the only person saying this. I'm saying this as an intelligence professional. This works out better for Israel if they're in civil war. And this agreement sets a bottom line where Hezbollah is going to start fighting the Lebanese army. The Lebanese army is going to start fighting Hezbollah. The Maronites are going to jump on the side of the Lebanese army because they're overwhelming the Maronite. It's going to get bad. So that deal is not a positive thing. Now, will Iran jump in? Iran can't actually support Hezbollah because they don't have the avenues of bringing materials in through Syria the way that they did. And don't forget the crazy idea that Donald Trump proposed that apparently was in Syria's talks was that he wanted the government of Syria, former terrorist who member of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, to invade Lebanon and attack Hezbollah from the rear.
The Trump administration is still putting effort on or pressure on Ahmed al-Julani. I'd like to go by his terrorist name rather
his
than
terrorist name, right? It's Julani.
Julani. I found out what I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking about the Alawiyah. Alawiyah are a form of Shia. That I don't know where my brain went, but I was thinking of the Druze because their original prophet, yes, their original prophet is Shu'aib, or their main original prophet is Shu'aib, I believe. And their actual religious leader is called Sheikh Al-Hijri, Hikmat Al-Hijri.
Okay.
And
listen,
I wanted to go into the people that live in the southern part of Lebanon, close. I know where we have passed our time.
Hold on, because there's another component to this. We could do a special show on this, I think, with Jacob. That would be important. There is a group. Now, I told you this, that the United States was trying to encourage al-Jolani, the government of Syria, to invade Lebanon. And he flat out said it that he wouldn't. However, I always like to say, however, Common, this is important for those of you who are watching. In 2020, which was formed during the period of Donald Trump's administration, a new party formed in Syria who referred to themselves as the Syrian Liberal Party, right? Al-Ahrar, right? Which so almost means liberation. And they saw themselves as a politically liberal society in Syria. And what I like about the Syrian political liberal party being artificially manufactured is that they are flaming liberals, right? Right? You would think that based on the fact that they're a Syrian liberal party. Well, there is this phrase that we use in the intelligence community called controlled opposition. And the Syrian Liberal Party, out of nowhere, this week made a call for the government of Syria to invade Lebanon, join forces with the Lebanese, the Israelis, and the Americans, and eliminate Hezbollah, you know, like flaming liberals always do. And I will show you the statement that the Syrian Liberal Party put out. This is the Syrian Liberal Party has issued a bold call for a decisive international military alliance to disarm Hezbollah, restore full Lebanon stability to Lebanon, proposed that Beirut formally request assistance from existing U.S.-sponsored international counterterrorism coalition in Syria and Iran, right? That's the Shah's Iran flag, right? And it's like, what? What? So I found their statement today on Twitter, where they are calling for the Syrian Liberal Party. Here's their Arabic statement. I'll find their English statement. Calling for essentially Syria to do what the President Jolani said he wasn't going to do. But I find it very funny that the Syrian Liberal Party apparently is backing the insanely MAGA coalition of the United States, Israel, and the Maronite Christians of Lebanon. In other words, to help invade and wipe out Hezbollah. And their coalition is the Coalition to End Hezbollah. Give me one moment. I will get the, Mina today had it. The English statement from the Syrian Liberal Party.
Now you have to understand that Syria is very, very divided. They're just starting to form their own individual parties right after the war. Al-Julani is still in mostly control of everything. There is still Al-Qaeda and ISIS that that Al-Julani is currently fighting, apparently. They are not there. They think that Al-Julani currently is a sellout. The Julani is acting like a rational leader at the moment because of one thing. He has a lot to lose. He's being promised billions from the Saudis and other Gulf states for investments. The promise is to give us stability. We'll give you whatever you need, and we'll invest in your country. And the Syrian people are really hopeful based on that. And Giuliani understand that getting into war with the Hezbollah is certainly not something that would be in their best interest. I want to go back a little bit, if you would allow me, to talk about Israel wanting to take 10% of Lebanon. Go for it.
Well, I was going to say, make it quick. We had to get to questions. People are asking questions.
Okay. I'm gonna make it quick. So what people don't understand is that the people in the south of Lebanon, when you're saying we're gonna relocate them or we're gonna take that away from Hezbollah and we're gonna give it to the Lebanese government so they can have control of the government in there, you don't understand that Hezbollah is the government down there. They're the ones funding schools. They're the ones building roads. They're the ones creating infrastructure. They're the ones creating hospitals. They're the ones funding scholarships. So these people are dependent on Hezbollah as their government. So the Lebanese government cannot afford anything at the moment. I want to understand, is Trump trying to fund the Lebanese military? What is going here?
The United States is going to come with a military assistance brigade. They're going to rebuild the Lebanese army and deploy them down into Lebanon. It's the army of southern Lebanon all over again. Look, when I was 20 in Beirut, we bought a military assistance group to train the Lebanese army to go up into the Shuf Mountains and try to defeat the Druze to end the Lebanese civil war. It just created more civil war. And of course, Israel was there too. So this is leading to civil war. All right, people. I'm sorry we went very long today on the Lebanese component of this, but I just wanted to let you know while you were sleeping behind your backs, a treaty was signed between Lebanon, Israel, and the United States that essentially appears to be giving Israel a new army of southern Lebanon and Jared Kushner beachfront property for Tiffany Trump's husband, a guy named Boutros or whatever his name is, who sat next to Marco Rubio for all of the negotiations. He's not a U.S. government official. He's just a guy with money who's Lebanese. So it's going to get interesting. All right, let's go to questions. We had 150 some odd questions yesterday related to one, the fundraiser that we were doing, Black Man Spy After Dark. And the first question I want to answer, so I can let all of you go have a nice Saturday morning, and I can go mow the lawn, is the patch, the fundraiser car4ukraine.com. That's CAR, the number 4, Ukraine.com, does actually have a Black Man Spy patch that you can get. If you go onto the chat, there is a photograph of the Summer Sunshine campaign. If you go to the website, I'm going to go to it right now to help you out, but it's CAR, the number 4, UKRAINE.com. Up will pop Cars Give Freedom. Go to the top where you see campaigns. Click on campaigns and you will see Summer Sunshine Trucks. Click on Summer Sunshine Trucks. Go down and you will see numerous fundraisers, right? The top fundraiser right now is myself, Black Man Spy. We've raised 4,329 euros. And a guy named Sukominius, don't know which unit he's funding for. I'm clicking to see because each one of us are funding 4 trucks for our units. He's with the 5th Separate Assault Brigade. I am fundraising for Team Jedi, an International Legion unit that has the 2 longest serving Ukrainian foreign volunteers. 2 guys, call sign Solo, call sign Santa, have been in the International Legion since day 3 of the war. And unfortunately, we just had 2 casualties, 2 killed in action. But we are raising money to buy them a pickup truck from Cars for Ukraine. We are halfway to our goal, which is 11,500 euros. We had 46 donations yesterday, just during the hour for Black Man Spy After Dark. We were sitting there. My friend sent me this fun MI6 Secret Intelligence Service cup, and we were drinking whiskey from Penderyn Whiskey, who wants to support our campaign. But what you do is you go off to the side, 10 euros, 20 euros, 50 euros. I believe 100 euros gets or above gets you to patch. I sent them 200 euros yesterday because I wanted 2 patches. I cannot buy the patch. I have to donate to get a patch. Once you've donated, they will send you a link and they will let you choose which patch you want from all of the big donation groups there. So that answers question number 1. I have loads of questions asking me how they can donate to the International Legion. By the way, I hate it when I hear all these right-wingers go, "You're a grifter." I have never raised money that benefited me. I've always raised money for the Legion. We did raise money for the trip to Iceland. We got more than we bargained for out of that trip to Iceland, and it paid for 3 trips to Iceland, including paying all the expenses of a poor Times of London journalist who didn't even have a coat capable of sustaining January in Greenland. I bought that boy a coat. So anyway, but all this money goes to Cars for Ukraine. Cars for Ukraine buys the trucks, and Team Jedi will give us a thank you video, and you will receive your badges. So that being said, let's answer some of the other questions. Yeah, somebody says there's a lot of wacko behavior in this here. Somebody says, "Malcolm, can I make a reference to this podcast discussion group in a fiction novel I'm writing about Ukraine?" Yes, feel free. You have my permission to say Vladimir was watching Black Man Spy and gaining all of his intelligence about Russia. So NJ Osborne, I don't get it. We're getting a lot of questions about Russia. Here's a link I got from Wajeeh. Oh, that was about the live stream yesterday. You should read Olga Lotman about Russia and how they work. I am a good friend of Olga Lotman. I have been working with Olga Lotman since 2016 when we helped unravel the whole Trump Russia scandal. She is a native Russian. She is a body of work in herself. She knows the book, House of Putin, House of Trump. She was principal researcher for Craig Unger. And to be quite honest, I think he didn't know anything about it till he met Olga Lotman. And she spells out everything. She is actually honest. Okay, not engaging on the Zionism is racism thing. Thank you. Robot Bender says, hey, I donated 60 euros to Cars for Ukraine, no patch selection. They will notify people who have earned patches. I think you got to give 40 more euros. Robot Bender, what am I? This is funny because he actually asked some of the funniest questions out there. Moving on. Any other questions? Sweet Kurdish info. I like how Trump and his crew wanted a scheme to endanger the Kurds. I would like to add this interesting point from before that I had done a Substack on the old Jewish community from Kurdistan. That's Ryuzaki. She does great work. Go in there and read that. There's a link on Christian or Jewish Kurdistan, which is fascinating to me. Because if you guys remember, what is it? The 10th tribe of Israel disappeared after being absorbed in Aleppo and what was the Ottoman, what would become the Ottoman Empire up in the north. So there has to be Jewish traditions there. Individuals on Facebook are reporting their kids are being deployed to the Middle East. Lebanon, quite possibly, or rotating to give people who have been in the Middle East 5 months a break. So, okay, that's all the questions for today. Let's come back tomorrow because there may be another airstrike tomorrow, or we could be in full-scale combat in Lebanon again, and the MOU goes out the window. Please take the rest of the day off. I'm going to go mow. I got 5 acres of land here. I'm going to do the full Forrest Gump. I'm going to get on
What
the
is
track.
that, 4 hours?
I don't get paid. I don't get paid to mow my lawn or edge it. So I'm doing the full Forrest Gump. I'm just going to ride on the riding mower and look like and drool like an idiot and listen to iHip Radio News. That's where I get all my political news. Jennifer Welch, who I had on the Black Man Spy podcast. You also may want to check the Black Man Spy podcast on YouTube. We haven't had the last day on there, but a new Black Man Spy interview with a guy named Eddie Fishman. Fishman, yes, Eddie Fishman, who wrote the book called Choke Points, Economic Technology Choke Points in a Modern World. I'm telling you, we had a discussion where it was awesome. I learned so much from that guy. And we were talking initially geographic choke points. The economic choke points in this world are now being reversed on America. We're going to choke on our own finances. And that China's going to pick up being the world power to defeat us. Great. It was a great interview. I at the end of it, I was like, could you please tell me something happy? It was really, a good one. All right, guys. See you all tomorrow. Please subscribe on Substack or please become a paid subscriber. It's just $7. And we will see you all tomorrow. Wajeeh, take care.
If you don't mind taking a second, tell you. Yeah, I want everyone to tell YouTube that they like my channel. So YouTube, take a minute, support my YouTube channel.
Go and watch his channel and big likes up to him and say that that's unfair that he got that strike against him. 3 strikes, they ban you from YouTube for life. Now they just took away his money. And whoever is the dick that went out there and made that complaint saying that we were talking about Hezbollah drone capability. We're intelligence professionals. Yes. And you know who else talks about them? The person who has the video of the 40 drone strikes on Israel on YouTube. So I just think it was racism, anti-religionism. So let's go help Wajeeh out on YouTube. All right, Wajeeh, is that it? Can I go?
That's it. Thank you. Yes.
The tractor's already turned on. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.